All right, so today, Kieran Crowley, new agent here at Weichert Realtors. Welcome.
Thank you.
What's going on, Kieran?
Not much. Excited to be here.
Awesome. Summer's over. What'd you do this summer? Anything fun?
It's not over. It's still September.
Yeah.
But it's really
still
over.
hot out. Yeah.
It is hot. It is hot.
Mainly just surfing has been like a big hobby of mine for many years now, and I like making music too. So.
I never got into surfing, but it's such a cool sport.
I wish
It
I
looks like a
was.
cool sport.
You know, with Jimmy Buffett passing away, I've been hearing about how he would like show up surfing in hurricanes, and I'm like, man, he really was who he who he seemed like, you know. But
I think
surfing's cool.
You got to start early. When did
Yeah.
you start surfing?
I was, I think, 15 when I started, and I was terrible. It took forever to get like good, like not that I'm good at it, but it took a while to get used to like being out there. And
So Long Island, I mean, they got good surf beaches, but not the best in the country, right?
no.
How long you have to
definitely.
wait for a good wave?
Fall is the best season, so we're in the
Okay.
best season right now.
What are you waiting, 5 minutes maybe for the wave you want?
Depends on the day, the tide, everything. But yeah.
Oh, you got a good hurricane. It's going to be offshore pretty soon here,
Yeah.
so maybe it's time to get ready. Where do you go surfing? Is that a Gilgo thing? Is
Yeah,
that
mainly Gilgo. Yeah, West Hampton too is a fun spot.
Now, you're from that area, right? Where are you from?
I'm from Babylon.
A lot of restaurants and bars there.
Yeah. The town is usually always busy.
And even though it's not near the, I mean, it's near the water, it's near the bay. It's got a bit of a surfer mentality, surfer vibe in Babylon, more than most of the other South Shores, like way more than Massapequa or Seaford.
Yeah, it's the small town kind of like beach.
You got
It's a
surf
small beach
shops in Babylon.
Yeah, Bunger is probably that's the most famous one.
You go there a lot?
Yeah, I just had a board made by them like a few months ago.
How's that work? Is it you get fitted for it? You have a style you like?
They measure the length, the width, the thickness, and then the volume. And then based on whether your size or like what you're looking for, if you want something smaller, it's going to be more mobile. You could be more mobile on it, or something larger for like smaller waves.
What's volume mean? Size?
Volume is like, I don't even know how to describe it. It's like how much the board floats.
Okay.
I would need
Big volume.
a surfboard the size of a boat to get out there. I have a 19-foot center console surfboard. It's really fun.
Now, coming from Babylon, are you also a boater? I'm sure you have
Yeah.
friends and family that used to have boats.
Yeah. My family has a boat. My grandpa has a boat too. Then I was just like always raised on that. I think I got my boating license when I was 10.
Nice. I feel like Grandpa should have like a big old wooden, like,
Yeah, I mean, you think he actually has this. It's like if it's from the 80s. It's a really small like Boston whaler, and it's bright red.
Wow.
And, yeah,
Red.
and it's like it looks like a speedboat, but it goes so slow. And
Yeah.
like my friends love it. They're like, "We go on it?" And I'm like, "Yeah, but it's tiny, and nobody could fit on it, and it's really slow." But
those Boston whalers, they last forever.
they do, yeah.
You see a lot of old Boston whalers because they last.
Yeah. So you fish at all, or you just boat
Um,
usually?
I like fishing. I don't really go as much as most people would. I think I would choose surfing over fishing. But
We grew up basically going to Zach's Bay
yeah,
almost every weekend.
Zach's
go
Bay
a
was
lot.
a big one. Short Beach, I remember when I was real little.
Hemlock Cove.
That eroded away before you would have remembered probably.
Yeah, no, I hear
Hemlock
stories,
was a good
but
one. Hemlock was the short beach of our teens because it was a good party atmosphere. But it seems like now, last 10 years, I mean, there's DJs at Hemlock.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
pretty
they do
crazy.
Hemstock, they
Yeah.
call it. Yeah.
All my buddies, they typically just will anchor in Zach's Bay or Hemlock Cove or somewhere and stay in the boat all day. And my son would absolutely hate that. He wants to get off on the beach. He wants the boat as close to the beach as possible. So I don't really hang with my friends too much because of that reason.
Once you get to your teens, you don't want to be on the beach. It's gross. There's sand, there's beer bottles. Find me like a 18-foot hole in Hemlock Cove, anchor up, and you just jumping in and out all day, floating around.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fun.
Tell me about your background. You got a music background, right?
Yeah, I've been playing drums and guitar for about 10 years now, and then picked up piano probably about like 5 years, keyboard stuff. I always really had interest in it from a young age. Like, music was always around my house and stuff. My parents always listened to it. My sister is also a musician. She's like a singer in college, and yeah, that was just like it was always a thing. And my parents aren't musicians at all, so it's like
That's
like
interesting.
it passed them. Like my grandparents were, but they weren't. But me and my sister are. So it's like
Things like that sometimes skip a generation.
That's
At
what
least that's
happened,
what
yeah.
all the old people say. Maybe that's how they make themselves feel good.
Yeah, yeah.
So you started with drums?
Yeah, when I was probably like 12, I'd say. I got like my first drum kit I got for free
Wow.
from a family member who was like, he was giving it
Who
away.
hated your parents?
Yeah.
Here's a free drum kit. Set it up in your
Yeah.
bedroom.
I did percussion in high school. No, in middle school.
I was gonna say, I remember you having the little pad and the drumsticks.
Yeah, I can still do a drum roll.
Really?
That's about it.
Yeah, it's fun. I did it in school too. It was a good time. You know, I don't think I would have done it as much as I did. Like we had to do, because Babylon's a really small school. Like we had like 100 kids in our graduating class, so everyone that was in the like high school band was also in like the marching band and all the other bands too. So it was like
You didn't have a choice. Like,
it
we
was a
need
big
you. We
commitment.
can't have
Yeah.
it.
They're like, if you know, the only way you can miss marching band is if you play football. And I was like, 2 practices a day is not really my thing.
That's funny.
I was in chorus in middle school, and you had to be, because I was in it in 5th grade. So you got to 6th grade, you had to be in chorus, and you weren't allowed to change out. In 7th grade, you had to be in chorus also. But it was in 6th grade where the chorus instructor, or whatever you would call her, came over and said, you could just lip sync. Like, we don't need to hear your voice, which was a lot of fun. So all my friends were learning in middle school how to play guitar. Like, that was the music class. Part of it was learning guitar. And I was like, oh, man, I want to do that. And then finally, 8th grade, I got to take general music. We did some keyboard stuff. But drums, usually once you're on drums, you never get to keyboard or piano. So you kept looking for something else to play.
Yeah, I'm always looking for something new, and basically anything too. Like, not just music, but I like switching it up and seeing what the other things are like. You know, I always think about like, if the band's on stage, what is everyone doing? And like, when I see something, I'm like, in my head, I want to do it right away, or learn how to do it. I like to learn.
I like people like you, but I'm definitely the opposite. I know how to do something. I get comfortable with it. That's it. That's what I do. Oh, we go away. We go to this place and this hotel, and that's it. That's where we go.
Is that one of the reasons you got into the real estate business? I mean, there's never the same day in real estate.
Yeah, exactly. And I like it's a career based on opportunity. So like you get as much as you put into it. And when I started learning even more and more about what real estate really was, because I mean, when you're younger, you just think real estate is they buy and sell houses, but there's a lot more behind it, and there's a lot more education too. So that was what I was really looking forward to.
There's never the same day twice. It really isn't. And just it's a cool industry to be in. It's something that we're thrilled we're in. But there's some challenges with it too, especially now. But it sounds like we're all up for the challenge.
You know what, though? Everything's a challenge. Your friends that have normal jobs, if you want to call it that, how many of them come home and they tell you how easy their day job is?
Yeah, no one.
It's hard. Easy, yeah. I mean, everything's hard. Nothing's easy anymore. There's no such thing as like, oh, you just get a job at a bank, you sit at a desk and, punch some buttons. The computers removed all those jobs, so they're all hard. They all require staying late. They all require some weekends. And real estate, you do all that too, but at least you're doing it for yourself. You're making the money for the effort you're putting into it. Plus, I know you had mentioned you watched, those TV shows with real estate, selling real estate. So if you ever watch any of the cool ones where they're like selling beach houses, the buyer is always like a guy who carves surfboards. He's buying a $3 million beach house. It's like, man, those surfboards must make a lot of money.
Yeah, the TV shows too, I feel like they're entertaining, but I never really knew how realistic they'd be.
They're all staged.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's one where like you go look at 3 houses and you pick one and you buy it.
Yeah, I've seen that.
So somebody in our office actually was going to be on that, and they had to sign a release, and the buyer, it was like a requirement, like, you're going to have to do this because we're going to be on the show. And they went and found the house, and he's like, well, when do we look at all, like, when does the show come? After you close. And they ended up not getting the mortgage. They couldn't close on the house, so they never had the TV show. But that's why the show, after you buy the house, they go back, they film you in your house like you're a buyer, and then they just have the realtor find 2 others to show you.
Wow.
Yep.
I didn't know that.
It's totally fake, completely fake. I have someone I graduated high school with was on it too.
You're gonna get a cease and desist order from TLC.
I didn't mention any names. I don't know. I'm not saying anything. But just one day we'll find that house. Surfboard carvers or like furniture refinishers are buying all these $1 million beach houses.
Speaking of surfboards, dude, once they get old, is there value in vintage surfboards or not really?
Not really. It's interesting because like unless you can find someone who like collects them, but even that, like the used surfboard market compared to new, like used boards are usually way cheaper than new ones. New ones now, like before getting fins or traction pads or anything, they're like 800, 850 for like a short board, where a used one, like it could be used like 3 times and has wax on it, and that could be like $300.
Which some guitars hold value, right?
Yeah, that's a totally different. That's like the opposite,
Yeah.
where like newer guitars, they could be expensive based on the model or who makes it, but the vintage ones like 50s, 60s, they're like a house. Like they're worth a house, sometimes even more.
Too bad your parents weren't musicians collecting, what was that big
Guitars.
one? What's the big guitar brand?
Strata.
There's a Fender,
Fender.
and Gibson,
Fender.
yeah.
Oh, Gibson. Yeah, there's a bunch.
There's a few out there, yeah.
One of the biggest guitar, maybe the biggest guitar string company in the world is located here in Farmingdale.
In the Dean area.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
We were just talking about that. That's funny you brought that up.
Yeah, we were just saying that.
Yeah.
They're moving here, or
They're just they're consolidating some of their facilities throughout the country. Their corporate headquarters is in Farmingdale.
They've had major problems with counterfeiting in China, making fake strings with their name on the box. And how do you know the difference? So I think they've been bringing a lot of their production back to North America too.
So what do you got planned for the next month or so?
try and get a listing and round up some potential buyers, sellers.
There's a lot of buyers out there, and you know, there's certain things we can do to get our buyers' offers accepted that a lot of agents are just lazy or just don't know what to do. So
one of the questions I would ask if I was a buyer right now, I've moved to Nebraska and I was going to go try to buy a house. I'd ask agents, how many houses have you sold in the last 12 months as a buyer's agent? Because the vast majority of agents have been really, really lazy, and they haven't. Either they're getting listings or they just sit around.
I would love to ask, the last deal, the last offer you sent over with your last customer, can you black out all the names and the prices and send the package that you sent out?
Yeah, it was a typed up nice and neat and looking good. And that's what I think you have, Kieran, an advantage here. When you get that offer, it's not, I don't even know if this will get accepted. You're not carrying the strangeness of the market over the last 3 years. You're just dealing with right now, and it's going to be exciting to have that new offer. No agent is going to work as hard with a new buyer than you. Make sure all your friends and family know how excited you are to do that.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
One of the big things that we're seeing as listing agents and just houses for sale is you have all these buyers, lots of offers because of the market, right? You have very high buyer demand, very low inventory. So these listings, these sellers are getting a tremendous amount of offers. They accept one, and then all of a sudden, buyer's remorse, the buyer backs out. Then they accept another, and then potentially a buyer backs out. So as a buyer's agent, if you could really stress how motivated and how much that buyer loves that house, and how if the seller gives the opportunity of accepting their offer, they're going to move forward swiftly, and it's going to be a smooth transaction, and here's all the documentation showing that it's going to be an easy mortgage and an easy transaction. A listing agent that's been around for a while and seen those deals fall apart, they're absolutely going to show a little favoritism towards that sort of buyer compared to maybe another one with similar price, similar terms.
Yeah, and it's kind of like what we were saying at the open house that we did, where when the seller puts the for sale sign out on their lawn, they want it to be the sold sign.
Yep.
No one wants it to sit on the market because they've already gone back and forth about whether they want to sell or not. And the decision to sell was made when they listed it, which was like they want it out. They want it gone in most cases.
Yeah, that's it, right? You by the time you decide to buy a guitar, you buy it. There's no thinking about it some more.
Yeah.
Like you already did that.
You
so
just
now
want
at
to
that
take it
point,
home.
You want to take it home.
Yeah.
Kieran, thanks for stopping in here for a couple minutes.
Thank you for having me.